Hi, 5th grade. Welcome to Lesson 8-2, Patterns and Expressions. Your learning goal for tonight is to use patterns to show relationships and evaluate algebraic expressions. You've got 3 learning goals, kind of long, but you really need to write all of these down. It's going to be really helpful not only this year, but in middle school when you go on to do more algebra. So your first learning goal that I want you to write down is to use patterns to show relationships, to evaluate numerical expressions using parentheses, brackets, or braces. And then PEMDAS. PEMDAS stands for parentheses and brackets, evaluate exponents, multiply and divide from left to right, and then add and subtract from left to right. This is the order in which you will complete operations. And operations are adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So take a minute and please write all of these down. It's going to be really important, especially the PEMDAS, and your teachers that you're going to have in the future are going to be really happy if you can memorize that. Pause the video, write those down, and then we'll continue in a moment. All right, vocabulary terms for tonight. Again, order of operations. The order in which operations should be performed within an expression. It's very important that you do these operations in order. And again, operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If they're performed out of order, then the answer to your problem will be completely wrong. So you have to do it in a specific order. PEMDAS helps you remember that order. So when you do certain things in a certain order, you do what's in parentheses first, then you solve the exponents, then you go on to do multiplying left to right, dividing left to right, addition left to right, and then subtraction left to right. So it's important to do all of those things in a very specific order. Take a minute, write that down. When you're done, start the video again. All right, let's do these examples together. The first thing you need to do is you need to make this chart in your spiral. So go ahead and make the chart, and then we will continue. All right, now that you have this chart done, let's look at this problem together. Emily and Austin have the same birthday, but Austin is 7 years older. In the table, N represents Emily's age, and N plus 7 is Austin's age. Complete the remainder of the table. So when looking at this, we know that N is Emily's age. Austin's age is N plus 7 because we know that he is 7 years older. So when Emily is 5, Austin will be N plus 7. So N is representing Emily's age. So when you do this, when you evaluate here, you simply put 5 in place of the N. So you're going to look at 5 plus 7, because this is Emily's age, plus Austin's age, and therefore he will be 12 when she is 5. Over here you're going to evaluate 8 for N, so you're going to put 8 in place of the N. You're going to add Austin's age. 8 plus 7 then is 15. So when she is 8, he is 15. Here we're going to have to do the opposite. You know that the opposite of addition is subtraction. So you have to simply do the opposite. Opposite is to subtract. Well, now we know Austin's age is 20, but we need to figure out Emily's age. So, how many years older is he? He is 7 years older. So in order to figure this out, we have to subtract the 7 years before we can figure out how old Emily is. So now it's 20 minus the 7, which is the age difference, and 20 minus 7 is 13. So now N here represents 13. And you can solve that by plugging the 13 in where the N is and thinking 13 plus 7 equals the 20. It's simply, you've done lots of these problems before, so it's simply taking that number, putting it in place of the variable, and then solving for the variable. All right, let's go on and do some more. All right, we're going to solve for 9n. Now remember, we did this in the last lesson. When you have a number next to a variable and there's nothing in between, that means to multiply. Just like this means to multiply, or this means to multiply. Right next to it means to multiply. So I want you in your notebook to solve for n equals 7 and n equals 3. Do that in your spiral. Pause the video, and when you're ready, start again, and we'll see how well you did. All right, let's look and see how well you did. So if you solved for n equals 7, you would have taken 9 times 7. Then you would have taken 9 times 3. You should know that 9 times 7 equals 63, and 9 times 3 equals 27. Hopefully you got both of those answers in your notebook. Let's try another one. All right, let's look at 42n. Let me see. All right, that came in the wrong order. So n equals 7 and n equals 3. So you're going to evaluate the n for 7 and for 3. Take a moment, pause the video, and you solve them, and then when we come back, we'll look at this together. All right, you had to set up a subtraction problem here. So you were going to subtract 42 minus 7 and then 42 minus 3 because you're taking your number here and you're plugging it into the n. So you're simply going to subtract. Borrow from the 4 becomes a 3. Your 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. 3 minus nothing is 3. So when you solve for n equals 7, your answer is 35. You're going to solve for n equals 3. You're going to borrow from the 4. That becomes a 3. Your 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. 3 minus nothing is 3. So your two answers, n equals 7 is 35, n equals 3 is 39. Hopefully you did well on that. All right, let's look at another one. In this expression, n equals 7 and n equals 4. And you're going to solve for 19 and 7/10. Now remember, on this one you need to think about where the decimal goes on your whole numbers 7 and 4. Really think about that. Do these problems in your notebook. Come back, pause your video, and try it. All right, let's see how well you did. N equals 7 and n equals 4. To set these up, you've got 19 and 7/10. 7 is a whole number, and 7, that's a whole number. The decimal comes after the whole number, and you annex the 0 to keep your columns straight. Add those together. 7 plus 0 is 7. Keep your decimal point in the same place when adding. 9 plus 7 is 16. Carry your 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And your answer for n equals 7 is 26 and 7/10. Now let's look at it for n equals 4. Same thing. Set up your addition problem. 4 is a whole number. You have to add your decimal point after the 4. Annex your 0 because it doesn't change the value. And this is another addition problem. 7 plus 0 is 7. Bring down your decimal point. 9 plus 4 is 13. Carry your 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So for n equals 4, your answer is 23 and 7/10. n equals 7, 26 and 7/10. That decimal placement is extremely important. For whole numbers, the decimal always goes to the right. All right, let's just look at a challenge problem. We don't have a practice word problem for today. So Carlos solved this problem. 20 minus 2 times 6, which is in parentheses, plus 8 divided by 4 equals 29. Did he find the correct answer? Explain. If he is incorrect, what is the correct answer? For this challenge problem, I want you to remember PEMDAS. Look back in your notes or relook at the beginning of the video. You're going to have to know that in order to figure out if 29 is the correct answer. So do this challenge problem. It'll be a little bit challenging for tonight, and come back tomorrow and check your answer with your teacher. All right, let's finish up. Review your learning goals. Mark a 1, 2, or 3 for your understanding in your notebook. Do you have all your learning goals written, your vocabulary words written, all the practice problems written down, including your challenge problem? If you have all of that done, you're done with lesson 8-2, and I will see you in the morning. Have a good night.